All right, let's pull back the curtain on human resource management, or HR. We're going to follow the entire journey an employee takes with a company from that very first day all the way to the final handshake to really get what HR is actually all about.
Let's be real. When you hear HR, what comes to mind? For a lot of people, it's this mountain of paperwork, enforcing rules, and maybe planning the office party. But what if I told you that's just a tiny, tiny piece of a much bigger puzzle?
Because in reality, human resource management is like the invisible architecture behind an employee's entire life at a company. It's this whole strategic journey that really shapes their experience, right from the moment they see that job ad to the day they move on to whatever's next.
So first things first, let's reframe what we think HR is. It goes so far beyond just hiring people and, well, firing people. It's really about strategically building and taking care of a company's most important asset, which is, of course, its people.
Now check out the language in this formal definition. It's not about policing, right? It's about strategic management. It calls people prized assets and directly connects how they're managed to the company's financial success. At the end of the day, it tells us one thing loud and clear. Good HR is just good business.
So, where does this whole journey kick off? Well, it all starts with building the team. But this isn't just about filling an empty seat. It's about finding the absolute perfect piece to fit into a really complex puzzle.
And that process is kind of like a four-step dance. First, you have to plan. What do we actually need? Then, you've got to define the job and the kind of person who'd be amazing at it. Only then do you go out and advertise. And finally comes the hardest part, picking the single best person from everyone who applied.
And this right here is one of the most crucial parts of that whole process. You have the job description. That's the what. It's the blueprint for the work that needs doing. But then you have the person specification, and that's the who. It's the profile of the person who has the right skills to actually do it. You've got to get both of these right if you want a great hire. It's that simple.
Okay, so you found the perfect person. Awesome. But the journey's really just getting started. Those first few days on a new job? They can literally make or break someone's entire experience with a company. This is where you set the tone for everything that follows.
A great first day isn't magic. It's a checklist. It's all about making someone feel secure and valued from the moment they walk in. Get the boring admin stuff done, explain the rules, show them why the coffee is, and most importantly, introduce them to the team. And assigning a buddy, that's a game changer. It gives the new person an instant friend, someone they can ask all those little questions they're maybe too nervous to ask their new boss.
So the new employee is onboarded and ready to go. Now we enter the longest and, honestly, the most complicated part of the whole journey. This is where HR's job really shifts from finding talent to managing it, growing it, and keeping it.
And this quote highlights a huge challenge for modern HR. See, managing different generations is absolutely key. The old one-size-fits-all approach, it just doesn't fly anymore. Younger generations, for instance, they expect you to explain why. They want collaboration, not just orders from on high.
So this long-term journey really stands on three main pillars. You've got training, which is all about investing in your people's future. Then there's performance management. That's the ongoing conversation about how things are going. And finally, you have legal compliance, which is the super important, non-negotiable part that makes sure everything is done fairly and by the book.
And speaking of doing things by the book, this is a perfect example of what that looks like in the real world. This table, based on the Malaysian Employment Act, lays out the basic benefits every eligible employee is legally guaranteed. This isn't just a nice company perk. It's the law. Let's just focus on this one number for a second. 60. That's 60 consecutive days of paid leave for new mothers. It's a really powerful reminder of how HR is in charge of policies that make a huge, huge difference in people's lives, way beyond the office walls.
Of course, not every job is forever. Every employee journey eventually comes to an end. But how that ending is handled, well, it says everything you need to know about a company's character and its professionalism.
Now, when things go really wrong, there's a process. It's not about a manager just getting angry and firing someone. It's a formal procedure. You have to investigate, you have to issue formal charges, hold an internal hearing, and only then can a decision be made. This protects everybody and makes sure things are done fairly. But here's the thing. Even at the very end of the journey, there's a huge opportunity. Whether someone resigns or is let go, they have something that is incredibly valuable to the company. So what is it? The answer? It's honest feedback. The exit interview is one of the most powerful tools HR has. Seriously. It's this one last golden chance to learn what's really going on inside the company. The good, the bad, all of it. This is the data that lets HR improve the journey for every single person who comes next, turning every ending into a new beginning.